Good evening. Actually, I start my TED Talk like that, so just to... My name is Mariana,
My name is Maria.
and we are here being the hostess because we can't get over TED.
Yeah, we can't forget this stage. It's unbelievable. It's like your ex-boyfriend. No, we just
Yeah, you know when it's hard, like, to let it go, your ex-boyfriend? So it's like, TED is here, we are here, and we are trying to keep the connection.
So welcome to the evening of TED Talks, and we want to welcome here on this great stage our first participant.
Tom Albert.
With the theme F word.
Hi, everyone. Okay, so as the lovely hostesses introduced me, my name is Tom Albert, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the F word. That F word is feminism. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so before I get started, I just want to tell you that, give a little disclaimer, all the statistics, the trends, the culture that I'm talking about is all American. I can't speak to what happens in the other countries, but I would argue and suggest that I'm sure these issues do exist, but maybe at a different scope. But without further ado, feminism. So, the feminist agenda is not about equal rights for women. It is about a socialist, anti-family political movement that encourages women to leave their husbands, kill their children, practice witchcraft, destroy capitalism, and become lesbians. I think we can all agree that this is a very exaggerated and ridiculous view. It was said by Pat Robertson, who is a media figure in America, who is known for saying very ridiculous, controversial things. Now, turns out this is far from what feminism really means, but it does hint at the stigmatized nature of the word. But what really is feminism? What does a feminist look like? What does feminism address? So before I give you this general definition, I'm going to ask you a few questions, see what you think. If you believe, like me, in your right to study what you are interested in any field and succeed in school, that means you're a feminist. Feminism is about prioritizing education for everyone. What we see in America, men report much lower grades than women do. Men also have a much lower rate of graduation from college than women. That doesn't mean that men are less smart than women. What it means is that we prioritize education more for women than we do for men. Feminism means addressing this issue. We also see a problem with gender disciplines. Men are funneled into the STEM fields, science, technology, engineering, and math, while women are funneled more into the arts, music, theater, right, these soft sciences. And what happens is there's a stigma when people cross those lines, right, when we have a man in theater or we have a woman in engineering. Feminism calls for a change with this. If you believe, like me, that you should feel no stigma for working in a career that is associated with a different gender, that means you're a feminist. Feminism means removing the stigma from gender jobs. One example that we can think about are midwives, male midwives. Even the word has a feminine connotation, right? Wives, women. We expect women to do this job. When a man is a midwife, we question his manhood. We question his masculinity. Another example are women CEOs or women business owners. We question where their priorities are. Do they want a family? Do they care about their family? We question their maternal instinct. Feminism means addressing these issues. If you believe, like me, in your right to feel safe in your own skin and not be associated with violence, that means you're a feminist. Feminism means eliminating this fear and this violence. 1 in 6 women report sexual victimization in America. That number is huge. Between the ages of 18 and 22, for college students, the number is 1 in 4. Men do report sexual victimization, but at a much, much lower rate. Feminism means addressing this issue. I want to tell you a short little story. I have a roommate who is a man, and he cares about these issues. And he told me that one day he was walking to the grocery store at night. My roommate is a tall, big man, and he was wearing headphones, and he was walking, and he noticed a young woman in front of him. And she, every 30 seconds or so, turned around behind her to see him. She did this for a while. Eventually, they got to a park, and she veered off the path. She sat at a bench and waited for him to pass by. Now, my roommate told me that he reflected on this, and he felt really sad that someone could associate these images of violence with him, that she would think that he would hurt her. That's why we need feminism. It's not just about removing the suffocating fear that women feel when walking home alone at night for fear of someone invading their bodies. We also need it for men, like my roommate, who don't victimize women, but have these images projected onto them of fear and of perpetration. So what really is feminism? Well, according to the Oxford English Dictionary, feminism is the advocacy of women's rights on the grounds of political, social, and economic equality to men. Now, feminism in America rose in the 1900s as a way to get women the right to vote. Today, in our society, the movement is much more liberal, and it's expanded to mean that everyone deserves the same rights, regardless of their gender, but also regardless of any other distinguishing identity, such as race, religion, age, sexual orientation. So a lot of what we hear as feminists is if feminism is about equality, then why is the term so stigmatized? Why are people so reluctant to admit that they are a feminist? So I want to talk about a few myths and maybe dispel some of them. The first one, men think feminists think they are bad. That is not true. Feminists think sexism is bad. They don't think men are bad. An analogy that I like to think about is about slavery. We can all agree that slavery is wrong. We don't think all white people are evil. Feminism views sexism as bad. Men engage in sexist behavior because they are socialized to and taught to behave that way. And women internalize that for the same reason. Feminism is about addressing these behaviors and norms and thinking about their impact. It's also about holding accountable the individuals that do engage in sexist behavior, even though they may not have realized it was sexist in the first place. Another issue is that some feminists aren't willing to accept men's issues. Now, as I mentioned, men's issues exist, right? I mentioned the education problem. Men are much more involved in the criminal justice system than women. However, feminism is about prioritizing the woman. In our society, men's issues are the default. That is the first thing that we address. Feminism is about centralizing the woman. It's not about forgetting the man, but it's about bringing the woman up, not bringing the man down. And last, some feminists do hate men, but it's not the majority. Like with any movement, right, there are always these extreme radical voices. They do not represent the majority, right, the core. These people are known as misandrists. A more common term is misogynist. A misogynist is an individual who thinks that men are better than women. A misandrist is someone who thinks that women are better than men. This is not what feminism is. But what happens is that the people in power who are threatened by what the feminist movement represents take out what these misandrists say, right, their quotes, their views, and they use them to symbolize the movement. And that's why we have a lot of women, when they're asked, They say, I'm not a feminist, I love men. That's not what feminism is. We have to be able to separate misandry from feminism. And if you ask me, misandrists actually undermine what feminism really stands for. So another thing we hear is, if it's all about equality, why don't we change the name to humanism, right? I'm not a feminist, I'm a humanist. Well, first of all, humanism is a term that already exists, and it means the beauty of the human mind as opposed to a superficial mind. It has absolutely nothing to do with equal rights. So that's one. Number two, movements originate because of the oppressed, right? This movement originated as a way to bring up the woman. So naturally, the word is associated with women. Also, the feminist movement is about empowering femininity and making it equal to masculinity. Also, the movement to change the name, yes, it's about equal rights, but by changing the name, we further marginalize the femininity and upholding and empowering women. So what's the point? So I've kind of painted you a broad picture, but what really is feminism? Feminism is about acknowledging and questioning the norm. It gives us a framework to look at society and see what's wrong, question it, and challenge it. Feminism is about believing you are enough as you are, even if society tells you otherwise. And lastly, I think most importantly, feminism is a movement to free our lives and the lives of those we love, our mothers, our sisters, our wives, our girlfriends, of fear, of violence, of discrimination. So with that, I leave you with one last question. How many of you thought, oh shit, I'm a feminist? Help me destigmatize the word. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. It was really inspiring. And I have one question for you, Masha, Maria. When you were doing your TED Talk, you imagined that everybody was naked?
True answer? No, because I even forgot about my own presentation, so I couldn't concentrate on human nature. And our next guest is David Tucker, with the theme Jewish and pro-Israeli communities with the help of sports.
Hello, thank you everybody. Hello everybody, my name is, my name is David Tucker. I come from Budapest, Hungary. Thank you. I'm taking part at the IDC Masa program, and it means I study at the IDC Herzliya Diplomacy and Conflict Studies. And I'm very happy to be with you, and I try to keep the niveau. Okay, so the topic of my lecture is how to create Jewish, pro-Jewish and pro-Israeli communities with the help of sports. So the first way is if we create Jewish sports clubs. There were several Jewish sports clubs before the Second World War. And they mostly were representing, for example, Jewish communities. So they may had Jewish, so this sports club may had a Jewish identity, but maybe they didn't have Jewish identity. They just represented the social class or the neighborhoods where Jews were overrepresented. And for example, the middle class, upper middle class, and there was also the ideology of Muskeljudentum. Don't know, are there German speakers here? So it means muscle Judaism. It was the invention of of the Jewish World Congress, and it meant we Jews, let's show that we are strong and we are good not only in the intelligence field, we are good also in sports and physical activities. For like there are today also a lot of Jewish sports team, unfortunately much less than before the Shoah, but there are several sports teams with Jewish roots. They are mostly amateur sports clubs, but they usually meet on the Maccabi sports events in Israel, or for example the Maccabi Euro Games. So there are good examples, but there are also professional football clubs and sports clubs with Jewish or pro-Jewish roots. For example, Tottenham Hotspur is called today the Yid Army, or Ajax Amsterdam was always the team of the middle class, wealthy middle class of the city. Or for example, Bayern Munich was almost banned during the Second World War, and a lot of Jewish sports leaders were killed during the Shoah. And Austria Wien Football Club is the same. And this is my favorite one. You may don't know. This is the MTK Budapest. This is my so MTK means a circle of Hungarian sports trainers. So this club had neither Jewish identity, but this club was created in order to form a club where Jews are also allowed to join, and that was very important at the time. So this was a tolerant and liberal sports club, and this club keeps its tradition until nowadays, and we will see why it's so important. So let's move away from the Jewish topic. When I was a freshman on my first university as a sociology student, my very first research was about football fans, football ultras in Budapest, and the results of the research were very interesting. It showed that for the football ultras, the sports event is less important. The game, what is happening in the field, they are not interested. They are more interested in the social experience, to be together. So it may be a remain of the tribal society. They have their own symbols, colors, songs, clothing, etc. So you can see that the field is not so important. The social experience is the most important. Is more important if you're a sports fan than the game itself. Thank you. So the fan groups, sports fan groups, can also spread and express values, political values that's often determined by the traditions of the club, or by the social situation of the club fans. Or they can stand up for causes, but unfortunately, there are nowadays many far-right, extremist and neo-Nazi sports fan groups, and especially in Eastern and Central Eastern Europe, where I'm coming from. Unfortunately, the stadiums were taken over almost all by neo-Nazis, and this is very, very sad. Can we go back? So let's imagine that you are in a stadium and you meet with this picture, or me personally, I was at that event and that football match, and being there at an event where a Nazi war criminal, where a Nazi war criminal is meant as so they make a remembrance a ritual for a Nazi war criminal. It was very, very, very uncomfortable and very dangerous. So thank you very much. And there are also other football fan groups or sports fan groups that are not neo-Nazis. They are leftists, but they may be also pro-Palestine and anti-Zionist, anti-Israeli sports fans, and they are neither our friends. There are also very good examples worldwide. So we mentioned that Ajax Amsterdam or Tottenham from London. They keep their old traditions. Or for example, Olympique Marseille. A few months ago, they had an action. The fans wore kippas. The fans wore kippah on their matches to show solidarity to the Jewish community of the city of Marseille. So our main goal is creating more and more communities who support Israel and who spread tolerance so how shall we do that? So we just saw that if somebody is going to a sports event, the game is not always important. The more important thing is the common social experience, being together, showing power together, and make us visible, make us famous, and being together where we don't have to be afraid. And that's why we have to recruit. Firstly, we have to recruit people with the same values among your friends or just other clubs and communities. And it's very important that let's make us, so do the party and make the show. Let's make the group visible. Let's show that being a pro-Israeli sports fan is not a shame. Is a reason for proudness. Okay, we can use also the social sides, and okay, there may be other people or other fan groups, they don't like us, but we don't have to be afraid. We have to show that we are together, we are strong together. If we feel ourselves insecure, we can learn Krav Maga. You know Krav Maga for sure. So in order to defend ourselves, but the most important thing is to show that we are proud, and sports events are very, very good occasions for that. And we can make also contacts with other organizations, NGOs, or also political parties, and we can also build a movement with others with whom we can spread this value together, and we can make Israel cool again. Thank you very much. And thank you very much. If we have time, there is a... Okay, we are not... Thank you very much.
Thank you, David. So I want now to ask everybody really fast, do this pose.
So now you are in power pose. This pose we were practicing before speaking.
Yes.
This make you sound smart, fun.
And feel a powerful
And
woman.
yeah, very intelligent and whatever. So keep it.
Sarah teaches that before our TED Talk.
And you need to be in this pose during our next presenter will show up. So welcome Dory Hauser with the theme Personal Legend.
If not, it's okay. Can I try it? Oh, no? Okay, let's try it out. Hey, there we go. Okay. So hello, my name is Dory Hauser, 23 years old, from ITF. Any ITF in the house? Yeah, teaching fellows, there we go. So my story of how I got to ITF is a little bit different. Right now, I am on my personal legend. And what is a personal legend? Well, according to the book The Alchemist by Pablo Coelho, your personal legend is your blessing, is the reason you are on this earth. However, not everyone has the courage to accept and follow this dream. So before I talk about where I am currently on my personal legend, I have to tell you a little bit about my past. So here I am with my little brother and my mom, about 4 years old, during Hanukkah. And I was a very odd child when I was little, and if I didn't know where my family was, my mom or dad, I would scream and cry the whole time until I found them. I loved being with my family and didn't have my first sleepover till 4th grade. God forbid, never went to Jewish summer camp. But this whole time, I had a dream. I was gonna go to Africa. And throughout my childhood, I discovered that in order to go to Africa, I was going to be a teacher. I fell in love with helping and teaching children. So teaching was going to be my ticket. But how was I going to make this happen? And like the alchemist says, when your heart wants something so bad, the whole universe will conspire and help make it happen. And that's what did. I found Drake University. There I could study elementary education, along with go on a study abroad program. I saw that they had a program in Uganda, Africa, and I literally ran to the sign-up table, put my name on the list, first one, and counted down the days till that summer term I would be in Africa. When I got there, I was so excited. I literally sang a song about being in Africa, and we started traveling with my group. And the other education majors and myself had brought materials and lesson plans, and we were going to be these amazing teachers in a classroom. We were going to be at Share Prospects, and Share Prospects was a different school. It was the only school in Uganda who let students with special needs get an education. So there we are, we're walking to school, we're excited, it's hot out, and we're ready to enter this classroom. How many kids do you think are in a classroom? Maybe like 20, 25, 15 if you go to a private school. Well, this was my classroom. It's a kindergarten classroom with 50 kids, 50. We had no chalkboard, no blackboard, one teacher. Of those 50 kids, 35 were students with special needs. Students who were blind, students who were deaf, students who had developmental delays, or students with Down syndrome. So everything we had brought with us, we had to literally throw out the window and start from scratch. I was no longer a teacher, but I was a student. These kids were my teachers, my mentors, helping me to figure out how to meet their special and unique needs in order for them to learn English. Fast forward to the first grade classroom, and here you see two girls. On the left, you have Evelyn. And Evelyn is blind, and she communicates with a Braille typewriter. Her best friend, Sadaya, went through a terrible infection when she was younger and lost both her arms. Now, this remarkable young lady learned to write with her feet. And she has better penmanship than any one of us in this room. You can see she's writing on a little desk there. And these two girls complete each other. Evelyn will carry their books, as Sadaya will lead them to class. And they don't care about each other's differences. They use each other's strengths to be successful at school and have the best time ever. So after my trip to Uganda, I had a travel bug. I wanted to keep exploring new cultures and see what the kids around the world had to offer me. So I signed up to go for the next 2 winters to Asekuma, Ghana. Asekuma is very different than Entebbe, where Asekuma is a remote village 3 hours north of the capital. And there I faced another new classroom. This was my classroom, first grade. No windows, no walls, half a chalkboard, 3 wooden desks under a tree. And how many of you have ever wanted to have a few Ferris Bueller's Day off? Or call in sick? Told your mom and dad when you were little, I don't want to go to school, I'm tired, I'm sick. I mean, I did that all the time in elementary school, don't get me wrong. But these students, it is very different for them. These students saw education as a privilege. Not everyone in the village got to go to school. Many of their families had to choose. Do we send our kid to school for that term? Or do we eat for that month? So they faced many different obstacles. However, when I taught these students, or I should say they taught me, they were so patient. They wanted to soak up every single word of English that I had to offer them. And no matter what obstacles they faced, they persevered and were successful. So fast forward to my second time in Asekuma, and this is my 2nd grade class and their teacher, who is 19 years old, and the kindergarten classrooms in the background. And on my last day in the village, myself and the trip leader were walking around the village, playing with children, singing songs, handing out leftover rice from the lunch meal. And I stumbled across this little girl, and she had flies around her face. And I stepped closer and looked, and she had wounds on her head, and they were pus with yellow. And I knew something wasn't right. I couldn't leave this girl. So I told my trip leader, we need to find her parents, we need to take her to the clinic and see what's going on. Well, unfortunately, we found out her parents had both passed away from HIV. So we found her aunt, who is her new caretaker, and asked for permission, and her aunt said, yes, we could go to the health clinic. So here I have this 3-year-old girl, Amafa, in my arms as we go on to the health clinic. And at the clinic, the nurse wanted to run some blood tests to see if she had HIV too. So this little girl is crying in my arms as they're taking blood, and all I want to do is take her pain away. This 3-year-old girl should never go through this much pain. And when, unfortunately, I'd have to leave the next day for America. So, fortunately enough, our partner program had people in Ghana who would be able to look after her and get her the HIV medication she needed. So I went home and I prayed every day that this little girl would get better, that Amafa would persevere through this disease. We raised money for medication, and the universe was on my side, because that same year, a family in my university hometown was looking to adopt a little girl. So Amafa was coming home to Iowa. And now Amafa loves to dress up as Elsa. She is 6 years old, and they just found out this year she is currently HIV-free. So, yes. By the time I graduated from university, I had left pieces of my heart with the children in Ghana, Uganda, Thailand, and Des Moines. But my story's not over yet. I am still continuing to learn from children around the world, even here in Israel. These kids have shaped my life, but this is my legend. I challenge you all to find yours, to fulfill it. It will take hard work, patience, and all your heart. You'll have obstacles, you'll have emotional moments, triumphs, and failures. You will learn more about yourself and the world around you than you ever thought before. And as the alchemist says, wherever your heart is, there you will find your biggest treasure. Thank you.
Hi, Masha.
Hi, how are you?
Tudo bem comigo e com você?
Спасибо, что спросила, все отлично просто.
This is how we sound without our accent.
Yeah, this is how our TED Talks could be without this accent, but we need to do it in English. So support for our next representative from France.
Stephanie Cohen with Healthcare Innovation in Israel.
So, hi everybody. So, I will begin by a story. Last month, I went to Barcelona. I don't know if you know the Mobile World Congress. It's like one of the huge congress in the world for mobile. And when I went there, I was working on my laptop, and a guy was looking at me really strangely, first of all. And then he was looking at me and telling me, like, "You're from Israel. You're from an Israeli startup, no?" I said, "Yes, I'm from VoiceIt, an Israeli startup." It told me, "Oh, cool, so I want to hire you because I know that Israeli people are really good workers. They know how to select people, they know how to hire good element for the enterprise." So I said, "Okay, good. I got this experience. So yes, maybe we can stay in contact and maybe we can have, you can hire me after, but now I want to stay in Israel." So Israel is an innovation giant. I mean, every day there is startup creation, and every day there is a new challenge for Israel. So yes, Israel is small, and small is beautiful. Unfortunately for me, but I'm not so small. Okay, so the Israel is 22,000 square kilometers. So it's really small country, and there is like almost 8 million people on this ground, and it's a hotbed of innovation. In fact, there is like 3,000 innovation per year in Israel. So it's really huge comparing to the U.S. It's like it's approximately the same as the Silicon Valley innovation. When you can compare the size of the US and the size of when you can compare the size of the US and compare the size of Israel, it's like, how can you imagine they're doing like, and they're producing the same innovation numbers every year? So yes, we are a Silicon Valley competitor. And yes, we know how to think out of the box. Like, Israeli people are amazing because they know how to be professional. They know how to think outside of the box, how to be straight to the point, how to innovate, how to be fearless. Yes, they're not afraid of the failure. They don't care if they fail. It's an opportunity for them to gain experience. Oh yeah, sorry. So yes, Jewish mother spirit. I mean, I think most of us have a Jewish mother. And when you get a Jewish mother, it's like, she's annoying because she's always telling you like, okay, go for it, do something better. You're too lazy, move on. Okay, mom, okay, I will do it. If you really want, I will do it, I will try. So yes, we have a Jewish spirit mother, but she guides us. I mean, my mom guides me every day. She helped me. So I think every Jewish mother can be really annoying, but can guide you, really. So the evolution between the Israel of yesterday and the Israel of today, it's really different, in fact, because before, the agriculture, the defense industries was the only dominant topics in innovation. But now, like, there is huge innovation in, first of all, healthcare, my domain, so I really like it, and high-tech. Yes, high-tech, I mean, everybody know that. Do you have a use Waze? No. So the innovation was supported by state and big companies before and was created by state and big companies. Now you need Wi-Fi, a table, and that's it. Maybe a computer, yes, it will help you, and an ID, that's simple. And then you can create your startup, you can innovate. So try to begin to innovate. So before it was venture capital supported. So, and now you have venture capital, angel investors, grants, competition, incubators. There is a huge means of how you can innovate and create on a daily basis in Israel. So we're not Israeli yet, but I don't know if some people want to be Israeli. So you have, I think, many means to do what you want to do in Israel. So Israeli innovation origin, like, yeah, Israel is a startup nation. Yeah, Israel is like a startup. It's small country, young country, and we can compare it to Singapore. I used to live in Singapore. It was really nice, but my God, it's so much different than any other than Israel, because you can be afraid of fail. You can be afraid of not having the means to do whatever you like and whatever you want. So I think the army spirit and how the army construct every single people in this country can really be a good asset for all the population in Israel. So as I said, they are really fearless. So yes, and they are guided by creativity. I don't know how many ideas like Israeli can have. It's amazing. So yes, big players are really attracted by Israel, by R&D, and for talent scouting. So Google, Intel, IBM, Apple, Cisco, Facebook, and Microsoft. And they are really supportive of startups, like by incubators, accelerators. Yes, for sure. It's an innovation hub. It's attractive for VC investors, and there is a lot of government incentive. Like there is a lot of R&D grants. There is a lot of additional grants, like up to 10%, up to 50%, no matter what. But it's like they're really supportive, and they really support the innovation, because the innovation will guide Israel to succeed. So Israel as a major actor in health, yes. You should know Teva, maybe. I'm not sure, but Teva is like one of the huge company in Israel. Like it's one of the leader in the pharma industry. But in the pharma industry, you have many topics. You have pharma, biotech, medtech, and biomedicine, which is really different. For example, for biotechnology, you have Israel is it's at the first place. There is 180 biotechnology company in Israel. It's huge, even more than in US, even more than in France, where I'm from. So it's like really huge, and they get support from the government. So government gave them like money to provide for the research and development and to survive in this really big world of pharmaceutical company, which is huge. So
thousands of images in complete comfort.
So
simply swallow the capsule and return to work or regular activities while the capsule records images from your colon for between 4 to 10 hours, generating up to 35 frames per second. Visualizations are sent to a sensor, which are then analyzed by a gastroenterologist via a computer with advanced screening software. If you are reluctant to take a standard colonoscopy, the pill count...
Sorry. Okay, cool. So, okay. You really want to know? I can show you later if you want. Like, so yes, Pilcam. It's like at the beginning, this technology, this micro camera was a military innovation. And then we turn it into a civilian innovation. Why? Because I think like all the R&D that we can put in army can serve for civilian work. So yes, we can use this army spirit. We can use this army innovation to provide more innovation in health. So that's great. So yes, the pills contain a mini camera and we are avoiding coloscopy. Coloscopy is not a good thing. You will never want to do a coloscopy. It's painful and awful. Yes, it is. I'm a doc, so I know what is it. So yes, RCAM is like an amazing, it's an amazing innovation. They are focusing on printed text, on people. You're like recording some people in the application, and then with people with blindness, people with who are visually impaired, can see like with they can't really see, but they can hear a sound. Like the text can be read for them. And also, so it's really easier than Braille. And also, what is really good is like they can recognize colors, you can recognize faces in the street. I think if you're blind and you're working in the street, you can see that like the little guy, the little green guy, and say, it's okay, I can cross the street. I don't need someone to tell me like, go, cross the street. But I'm visually impaired guy. I cannot cross the street like that. Okay, so one of the big new innovation is HIV treatment. Those two guys are amazing. Like they found a really good way, and I think that in 5 or 10 years we'll get a medicine for HIV, which is great because as you said, HIV killed many people, and many people in Africa, and most of the European and US countries don't really like to invest in research and development for this cause because it's not really valuable at the end. So we can have them. They're researchers from Hebrew University, and they are doing like a partnership with a Diane pharmaceutical company. So yes, I'm going to talk to you about Teva. Teva is like the leaders of the pharmaceutical world in Israel with, my God, annual revenues. I want those revenues. $20 billion every year. Who wants it? It was 50 million like 30 years ago. So for the sale, they are first in generic, 10th in terms of pharmaceuticals company. And right now, they bought like Allergan, which is a huge, oops. Okay. Okay. So, which is a really huge company, So yes, okay. There is, unfortunately, Teva like are dealing with a terrible boycott. I faced it. I was a pharmacist at the drugstore, and someone came with a social insurance card, like with Teva, I don't want. What does it mean, Teva, you don't want? Like, I'm Jew. I'm not even selling Teva medicine, but you're telling me that because Teva is an Israeli company, and Israel is a Jew country, you don't want any medicine from Teva? Really? I felt so untreated. I feel like, my God, I felt shocked at this time. So, yeah, I think it's a daily basis. But, as I said before, in Barcelona, I had such great return on how they perceive Israel and how you can be in Israel like really free, really innovative, and how you can be perceived as greatest person in the world. Yes, Israeli are greatest person in the world. Okay, don't tell them I say that because after. Okay, so yes, that's a big paradox because people really like made in Israel stamp. They really like it now. I mean, European Commission like giving money to Israel to create and innovate every day. It's like, I met a startup 2 weeks ago, they get 4 million euros from the European Commission. So yes, it's a paradox, but we can fight for it with your value, with your belief, with your act. Every day you can transform this negative situation of boycott into a positive situation. On a daily basis, you need to fight for this. You need to fight for what you want and for what you would like to be. So, thank you.
So, Mariana, have you already checked how many views does your TED Talk video have on YouTube?
Yeah.
Check it now. Now, Mager.
102 views. Yeah.
So, surprise for our participants and for our representatives that maybe even at this moment your speeches are loaded to YouTube. Woohoo! Good
yeah,
luck.
you're gonna be famous. I'm just kidding, like 100 views.
And we welcome our last cool representative,
Veronica Nedling, talking about equality in education.
Hi, I'm Veronica. I'm from Germany. Is anyone else from Germany? Oh, yay. Hi. I thought I'm forever alone, but hi. So, yeah, I hope I still can get your attention for the last 7 minutes. I'm going to talk about education, even though I don't come from an educational background, because I studied political science. I still think it's a topic that is really relevant to all of us and that everyone can relate to. And it's also a topic that requires a lot of work that needs to be done. So I'm going to focus on the question, is there such a thing as equality in education? And I'm going to take the German education system as an example just because I went through this education system, and I think in order to analyze something, you have to have experienced it. And also because the German education system is actually considered to be one of the really good ones, like in all the statistics and everything, they always rank really high, which is why I also think that it's interesting. And in general, why does education matter to all of us? This is only one example why it matters. It's like that 1 year of education can increase an individual's earning by 10%. But that's only one thing that education does. Like you all know that education provides us with all the knowledge and gives us the base to life, simply. And what does equality mean in this context? So there are two meanings, but most importantly, equality in this context means the right of different groups of people to have a similar social position and receive the same treatment. And the state of being equal, especially in status, rights, and opportunities. So what is really important here is the opportunities. So that would mean, if all that would be fulfilled, that would mean that ideally children should have equal opportunities and an equal access to the same education, no matter their socioeconomic or cultural background. So I wonder if you think that in your country this is the case, and if yes or no, why do you think that's the case? And I actually talked to two people, and so I would like you to share your opinion now really quickly.
So I'm from New York, and I find the whole education system to be extremely complicated. Within it, you have the public school system, the private school system, and the charter schools. And with each one of them, there's different problems. But I feel like within it, it's also always about social economics with each neighborhood, depending on whether or not that neighborhood is rich, the money being poured into the school and the materials and are usually higher compared to and especially the people in private schools compared to public schools. In that sense, it's completely divided in the vocabulary and the grammar. So there's a huge gap when you come into college or even to a high school that I've had people going to private schools and public schools. So there is a huge inequality.
Thank you. And I also have someone from France. Salome, where are you?
I'm from France, and I think that in France it's both because you have in elementary school the system that you have. It depends of where you live. When I'm sorry, I don't talk English so much, so. It depends of the place where you live that you have to be in a special school, and after in high schools you have this public environment that is free, but most of the time to have better education you have to go in private school, so it's a hot topic also.
Okay, so thank you. I just wanted to also include other countries. And as you can see, like counterintuitive to what we would think, the problems of equality in education and education being linked to your socioeconomic background is not only a problem in developing countries, it's also like really present in the countries we all come from. So don't be shocked. This is a chart of the German education system. It's German, so it's really bureaucratic and complicated, but don't worry, you don't need to understand all of it. Basically, what you need to know is in Germany, education is free, so you would assume that it's great, because Germany is like a really socialist country, so, and it is great. It is great because everyone can get free education, but what is really important is that elementary school is only 4 years, and after that, you get separated into 3 types of high schools. So there's the highest high school type, which is the only way you can get to university, which is like 12. It used to be 13 years, now it's 12. Then there's the upper intermediate leaving certificate, that's what they call it, but it's like basically that's the middle type of high school. And then there's the lowest high school, which is only 9 years in total, which is the mandatory amount of years that you have to go to school in Germany. And with that, you cannot, like with the both 2 types, you cannot go to university and you can only do a professional. I mean, with the middle one, you can, like if you do extra things and if you change and you kind of redo the 2 years. But with the last one, there's no way that you go into university. You can only pursue a professional training. So now you would think not everyone has to go to university, and not everyone has to go to university. Like everyone is free to choose wherever he wants to go. But what I wonder about is, and what I worry about is that not all the people who are in these different type of high schools are there because of their choice, or rather than like other circumstances. And this is really well represented in this chart. So this is a chart that shows 15-year-old students and their representation compared to their socioeconomic background. So as you can see in the lowest type of school, which is this chart, the gray one is like the highest representation of people, and it's 37% of people that come from low socioeconomic backgrounds. They go to the lowest type of high school. And then, as you can see in this column, the white one, that's the representation of people that go to the highest type of high school. And 60% of these people come from a high socioeconomic background. So as you can see, even though education is free and everyone is supposed to get the same education, it still doesn't match with reality, because in the reality it is linked to your socioeconomic background, and that really affects where you end up. And also, as Salome said, in Germany, your elementary school is also linked to your neighborhood. So you have to go to the elementary school in your neighborhood unless you go to a private school, which is not common in Germany to go to private schools. Like, this would only be if you want to go to a Waldorf school or a Jewish school or something really special. Like, there's no need to go to a private school. So this makes me wonder what could be done to make the access to education more equal. And I thought about 3 suggestions that could solve or improve this issue. And first of all, I think the selection process after elementary school, which is only 4 years, so children are 9 years old after, like, when their future is decided for them, because they're just going to these different schools, and after that it's really, even though you could change from one type to the other, it's really, really difficult in reality. Also, in my opinion, parents should be more involved in the school system, because as you saw, the chart is really confusing, and especially for immigrants or people who come from low socioeconomic backgrounds, they might not see or not understand this, the school system at all, and don't see why it's relevant, because they probably also have a career planned already for their child. And the last one is, in my opinion, the system of having 3 types of high schools and kind of separate already who is going to the lowest. And I mean, of course, it's also seen really badly. Like, if you say that you go to the lowest one, to the Hauptschule, people think you're stupid. Like, this is what society thinks of you. So I think this system should be rethought. Is that a word? So this system should be rethought, and there's one type of school that actually combines all these types and makes the classes by levels. So you would have in every subject, you would be in a level, which makes it like much more equal, but that's also debatable. So yeah, I just wanted to, even though you might think that your education system is equal, I just wanted to show you that, just wanted you to rethink this question for your own country, and remember that it's not always how it seems. So that's it.
So thank you everybody that present. We know how difficult it is, but now you feel like better because it ended, right? Yeah, I know how is this feeling. So now we want to invite Michal and Tommy that are going to be our open source hostess.
And give more support to our presenters.
Woo!